From the fantasy armchair, it is the Fantasy TyRant. Hey there, fellow fantasy football freaks. Welcome back to the fantasy armchair. Now, week one's already well into the books, so I'm not going to do a TyRant this week. I know I said I was going to do one for Wednesday, but I thought about you know what? Let's put week one behind us. That was a crazy fucking week. Let's put it behind us a little bit, but I am going to do a little something that's going to touch on what happened last week, but it's going to help us figure out what to do moving forward. I'm trying out a new segment that I call Freak Out or Chill Out. Real quick, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit like there for me. Subscribe. Remember, if we get up to 300 subscribers before the end of September, I'm going to have something real nice for you in October. So if you look down there and the number doesn't say 300, go ahead, hit subscribe if you haven't. Help me out so I can continue to help you out. Speaking of which, if you haven't yet, check out my Patreon. It's pretty cheap. You get a lot of help. One-on-one consulting and your lineup and decisions each week. Hey, that's worth my weight in gold. I'm a pretty big dude. But all I'm asking for is $5 a month. That's less than a cup of coffee in a lot of places. Enough of that bullshit. But stay tuned at the end of the show, and I'm going to get into what next week's schedule and what the schedule moving forward for this channel is going to be like. Anyway, enough of all that. Here we go. A new show that I call Freak Out or Chill Out. Let's start off with Zeke Elliott. In week one, he had 11 carries for 33 yards and caught 2 out of 2 targets for 6 yards. That was only 5.9 fantasy points in PPR, but he did run against a stout Tampa Bay defense. This was a terrible way to open the season for his fantasy owners, most of whom drafted him in the first round, and a lot of them are now wanting to trade Zeke away, worried about week one's performance. But what do I think about this? Is it time to freak out or chill out? I say it's time to chill out.
Chill that fucking bitch out!
Alright, so let's be fair. Zeke was facing the Tampa Bay defense, who I've been saying last year was shutting everyone down. In fact, they only allowed one running back to go over 100 yards against them last season, and that was Dalvin Cook. They kept everyone under wraps. CMC, King Henry, most running backs were getting less than 50 yards from him. This lack of production for week one's game was predictable. Hey, at least I predicted it. Now the Cowboys offense under normal circumstances will be playing a lot better, keeping the score up, keeping them in the game so that the running game can continue. So in the long run, they'll be flipping the script less, and I think Zeke is going to be just fine. Now, Tony Pollard was definitely the more explosive back this past week, but I think that, given a few games, once Zeke gets into midseason condition, he's going to be the man. Maybe not the top 5 running back that we thought he'd be, but he's certainly not going to be droppable. Maybe he'll be more high-end RB2 than mid to high-end RB1. And I think he ramps things up this week against the Chargers, alright? So don't sit him, don't trade him, put him in your lineup, and you should be fine, alright? Chill out. Next up, James Robinson. He had a pretty shitty week, right? 5 carries for 25 yards, got 3 out of 6 targets for 29 yards. That was only good for 8.4 fantasy points in PPR. And it's not like he had a tough matchup. The Texans' D was the second worst against fantasy running backs last season. With that in mind, you'd think he'd have a better game, but man, it was pretty bad. But was it bad enough to freak out about? Or should we wait and see and just chill? Nah, I say it's time to freak out. Now, a lot of other analysts here are saying don't freak out, and I think they're safe betting. They've gotta be, because this is some scary shit. Yeah, before the score went all nuts, sure, Robinson was getting the bulk of carries over Carlos Hyde, but they were forced to abandon that run game pretty damn fast. Against the Texans of all teams, who were the second worst team against running backs last season. And it's not like they got any better. So what this tells me is that the Jags offense is fucking terrible. They're going to be forced to pass a lot almost every game, and that's going to be bad for J-Rob's production. Now, the Jags abandoning the run so early, I think that's more of a coaching issue than it is J-Rob, considering Robinson's talent. And that doesn't make me feel any better about his production. Now, I don't think he's going to be absolutely abysmal, but I definitely don't think he's going to be the borderline RB1 that he was last year. Like a borderline flex play, honestly. I certainly don't think he's going to make good returns on his ADP, unless you're one of those people who drafted them before ETN went down. So I guess you could say, yeah, I'm freaking out a bit. Let's move on. Saquon Barkley, coming off a season where he was out recovering from an ACL tear, looked, well, about as bad as the rest of the Giants, really. 10 carries for 26 yards, and he caught 1 out of 3 targets for 1 measly yard. That was only good enough for 3.7 fantasy points in PPR. Yeesh. part of that reason, he played in only 47.5% of snaps against the Broncos. Now we know that usage is going to go up, but will his production? I'm not sure it will by all that much, so that's why I'm freaking out. If you're a running back in the NFL and you tear your ACL, unless your name is Adrian Peterson, it doesn't look good for your future. The track record indicates a large dip in production. If you factor that in for Saquon, and then you add in the fact that the Giants offense is about as effective as a Mormon missionary to Marilyn Manson concert, is that guy even still relevant these days? You can see why I'm a bit freaked out here. And I've been hearing some reports that he's been feeling some soreness in his knee after that game. Fuck that. Yeah, I'm definitely a tad worried. Knee soreness after ACL surgery is not making me very confident in his health, his production, or his usage this season. Game script is going to have the Giants throwing an awful lot. I just don't see Saquon returning to his RB1 form. Maybe not even an RB2 at this point. These are reasons why I don't think it's overreacting, but freak the fuck out. Let's switch up positions here and talk about wide receiver Brandon Ayuk for the Niners. Well, we take a look at the stats, but there aren't any. 0 receptions on 0 targets. Of 13 routes run, 0 fantasy points. Part of the reason may be the lingering effects from the hamstring injury, but on the other hand, Coach Shanahan said that Trent Sherfield was the preferred wide receiver over Ayuk before the game began. So what? That means 0 targets, 0 catches, and 0 fantasy points? What the fuck? This guy was looking like a breakout star as a rookie last year, but now all of a sudden he's tossed aside like a dirty jizz rag? Is there something else going on here? This is all very bad news, so we should be freaking out, right? Wrong. Chill out.
Chill that fucking bitch out!
Yeah, I'm sure a bunch of you have already shut off my show thinking I'm nuts for dialing back the panic on Ayuk here. Well, let's look at a few things real quick, alright? So Brandon Ayuk's still suffering from a little bit of soreness in his hammy. Now, I don't see this being a season-long issue. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I think in this case, it's not going to be a season-long issue, but it's going to be something that's going to hinder him for a few weeks. So instead of getting him involved in the game while he's hindered a bit, may as well see what Trent Sherfield can do. This kid's got some promise, alright? Why not let Ayuk rest that hammy and see what you got with Sherfield? I think if they needed Ayuk to play, he'd be playing. Kyle Shanahan's got the same mystery mystique that his father Mike had, okay? I think a lot of this is just a coach's smoke and mirrors. Ayuk will recover, they'll see what they have in the new kid, and that's gonna burn a fire under Ayuk's ass to get back to where he was last season. Nothing wrong with a little healthy competition. It's clear that Deebo Samuel was the supreme leader in this wide receiver core. And I think eventually Ayuk takes back his number 2 spot, but he's got Trent Sherfield hot on his heels. So for now, he takes a rests the hammy, Sherfield gets to show what he can do, and then that should motivate Ayuk to come back strong. So, don't drop him, don't trade him. Keep him on your bench for now, and when that hammy's 100%, he'll be back to wide receiver 2 production for you. So put him on the pine for now, but otherwise, chill out. And finally, at QB, let's talk about what happened to the reigning MVP Aaron Rodgers. The guy went 15 for 28, that's not too bad, for 133 yards, and 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, oh my goodness. That was only good enough for 1.3 fantasy points on the road at New Orleans in Week 1. Next week, though, he'll be at home against the Detroit Lions. So Week 1 was pretty fucking bad, but will he bounce back in Week 2? Dude, it's Aaron Rodgers. Of course he will. So chill out.
Chill that fucking bitch out!
Yeah, that may have been the worst fantasy week of Rodgers' career, but anyone who's been watching football, at least for like the past 10 years, can tell you that when Aaron Rodgers loses, and then faces a division opponent, especially one as weak as the Lions, he's gonna fuck shit up. And then he'll play like his normal self rest of the season. And I think that's gonna happen this week, taking on the Lions. Week 1, hey, it was just a bad day. A really bad day for Aaron Rodgers. Plus, I think it's more about how good the New Orleans Saints defense is than how bad Aaron Rodgers or the Packers offense is. The Saints defense is much improved, and they're no joke. A-Rod is going to be fine. Devontae Adams is going to be fine. Aaron Jones will be just fine. Heck, even Bob Tonyan, he's going to be alright too. It was 1 week, a bad week, against a stellar defense, alright? Don't freak out. Just chill. Or like Aaron Rodgers says,
RELAX. relax.
So that's it, freaks. What do you think of the new show, eh? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, alright? We get to 300 by the end of the month, I'll have something great for you in October. Also, hit the like button. YouTube wants us to have 10% likes. So, like, if there's 100 views, there's got to be 10 likes. If there's 200 views, there's got to be 20 likes, so on and so forth. It's not hard math, come on. If you look down there and there's less than 10% likes, go ahead and help me out. Hit that like button. Share with anyone you know who will appreciate this. Check out my Patreon. Like I said, $5 a month. You got your own guru to answer all your burning questions each week in fantasy football. You want me to help you set your league on fire and blaze through your week using my hot content? Sign up on Patreon, subscribe if you haven't, hit the like, share all that. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate all your support. Absolutely. Now remember, there's no rating show tomorrow, alright? But then Benches and Bumps is on Friday, Tinker Stinker Power Hour on Sunday. And then next week, the new schedule starts, okay? Let me tell you how that's going to go. Monday, early waiver wire and the tirade. Then on Tuesdays is a new show. It's a new live show that I'm going to do. It's called Mixed Notes. It's just, some information, updates, that sort of thing on some stuff that's going on in the NFL that might affect your fantasy week. That's every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And it's just like a half hour or so, all right? So come on in, hear what I got to say, ask some questions, whatever. Then Wednesdays are Wild Card Wednesdays, where I bring out a new show or maybe an old show I haven't brought out in a while. Who knows? Just like today, we got that new show, Freak Out or Chill Out. I might bring that one back. I might bring back F, Marry, Kill, Buy and Sell, that sort of thing. Something new for you every Wednesday. Thursdays on my ranking show. Fridays, of course, the big one, my flagship show, Benches and Bumps. Saturdays, I kind of take a little bit of a day off, but I will be online at night answering questions on Facebook, helping out my Patreons and preparing for Sunday morning's Tinker Stinker Power Hour. That's every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I'll have some deep dives, some super deep dives, and, I'll answer all your questions. Your sits, starts, keep drops, all of that stuff. You've got burning questions, I've got awesome answers, and I'll have those for you every Sunday. So there you go. There's the new weekly schedule starting next week. So next time I see you is going to be Friday for Benches and Bumps. Until then, I'm out. Peace.